So, recently I was watching Friday the 13th 2008 version. It's a pretty decent film and pretty famous one also from the slasher horror genre. And I came across a thought, why are we so scared of characters like Jason, Michael Myers, and Ghostface? For that, we have to get back to the 90s when the slasher subgenre was introduced to the world. Two horrifyingly brilliant films, The Texas Chainsaw Massacre and Black Christmas, was released on one day. On October 11th, 1974, people witnessed the history of horror being created. So before talking about how amazing slashers are, we need to understand what slasher is. Horror is a genre and connecting with it are its subgenres such as body horror, psychological horror and slasher horror. Slasher horror usually follows an arc of serial killers where they kill people and the reason behind it. Let's get into those themes and symbols in slasher genre. First off, we have Scream. Ghostface became pop culture when Scream was released for the first time in 1996. The budget for this film was around 14 to 15 million dollars and it grossed over 170 million dollars worldwide. Scream is a horror film where people actually are aware of horror film rules. They follow the rules yet somehow still falling victim. In Scream, Ghostface isn't some supernatural, horrifying creature but a human being who has gone psycho. Scream single-handedly revived the slasher genre in the 90s. In the opening minute of Scream 1996, Ghostface asks our first victim, "What's your favorite scary movie?"
Scary movie.
You like scary movies?
Uh-huh.
What's your favorite scary movie?
This film has references from many great horror films. Scream just flipped the whole idea of the slasher genre. In the 90s, people had seen enough slashers to know what's coming. They became too predictable. Yet Scream pulled something magical. Drew Barrymore was originally approached to play the lead role of Sidney Prescott. She suggested switching to the role of Cassie Baker so the audience would be horrified to see the biggest star brutally murdered in the first 12 minutes. The film explores society's dangerous relationship with violence and media. The killers are portrayed as alienated youth who consume excessive media, famously noting movies don't make psychos, movies make psychos more creative. The first scene with the telephone inside makes us realize how technology isolated them, forcing them to consume more, and the desire for fame gave us two of the biggest psychos or villains in a horror film, Billy and Stu. They were best friends and wanted to star in a film. The opening scene is a proof that technology made us chase things we'd never want. It's not that those things are wrong, but we are chasing them for a wrong reason. The act of crimes turned into entertainment for people. Stab film franchises, which are fictional to some extent, did motivate or inspire those acts of violence, yet we can't blame everything on art. It's the human capacity to commit outrageous atrocities which is more harmful. Films do have an impact on you, but it's your interpretation which makes it work even better. We were scared because it was brutal, and also the fear of unknown is somewhere in there. The Scream is a really fascinating watch if you are a fan of slasher, and the fact this film became box office hit when it was released tells us a lot about how it influenced other horror films too. It's the perfect film. I've seen it a couple of times, and every time I find myself more amazed than ever. The fact this film gave us urgency and snatched the normative horror rules from our hands is absolutely mind blowing. Next, we have the Texas Chainsaw Massacre. That film is really fascinating. The Texas Chainsaw Massacre was released on October 11th, 1974. Made on the budget between $80,000 to $140,000, it grossed over $30 million. This film follows five friends going to Texas to check on Sally and her brother's grandfather's grave as cemeteries have been dropped. The location in itself is very haunting, and towards the start, we get to know that there's something horrifying happening in the slaughterhouse. This film did try to preach veganism, portraying slaughterhouses as immoral, villainous, and something terrifying. So, from the start, we know where they are going. Something's not going to be right. They reach the house and eventually Kirk, I don't know if I'm pronouncing his name right, and Pam left the house and started roaming. Kirk entered a random house where he was hit with a hammer by our killer. This scene was shocking because it was like a surprise no one was expecting. Pam, following him, was also killed by Leatherface with a hook. The methods of his killing, from chainsaw to hook to hammer, is parallel to the killings of animal in the same way. The family of those weirdos do every little thing a normal family do. They own a house, they own a shop, and they have family dinners, yet commit unfathomable crime. The escape of Sally at the end doesn't just give us satisfactions. As we know, the evil isn't over, it's just beginning. Many more people would come, face the tragedy, and get tortured. Even Sally's life isn't going to be the same, it would be filled with traumas and panic episodes. The last scene signifies that it was too much, more than what she could bear. She laughs hysterically not because she gets the sense of relief, but because she has witnessed things that a normal human mind could probably never forget. It's not the laugh of relief, but a laugh of despair. A laugh at hopelessness, a laugh at never ending evil, a laugh at society who made those animals. If you ask me, I think the last shot of the Texas Chainsaw Massacre is the best out there. It can't get any better than that. Sun setting, which means cycle of evil would restart with a dark. She's leaving behind people that played an important role in her life. Oh, how much I love this film. I can talk about it forever, but The Fear Street. Fear Street is a trilogy of films released by Netflix in 2021. Sarah Fear is a non-story throughout the whole shady side that she cursed their town and that's why their lives are miserable.
Before the witch's final breath, she found a way to cheat her death by cutting off her cursed hand. She kept her grip upon our land.
The tale of Sarah, which is famous throughout the whole town. Their neighbors compare to them are living a healthy and prosperous life, making them feel superior, thinking Shadysiders are struggling for their own sins. This discrimination is shown throughout the whole trilogy. This discrimination not only affects them but makes their situation even more miserable. If you're born a Shadysider, you die as one. There's no other way. You cannot expect to live a better life even if you try hard enough. People say it is Sarah Fierce's curse on them, but as the story develops more and more, we get to know it wasn't Sarah Fierce who was to blame, but the good family from Sunnyvale, their neighbors. They made a deal with the devil for prosperity, but for it, some people have to be sacrificed from their neighbor town. When we get the backstory of Sarah Fear, we get to know the only sin she did was love. A community manipulated other members of it to convince Sarah Fierce was a witch and killed her by hanging. Before dying, she cursed the good family that truth will always haunt them.
The truth shall be your curse. I will shadow you for eternity. I will follow you forever. And everything you take, and everyone you harm, you will feel the grip of my hand. I will show them what you've done. I will never let you go.
And it did. On every occasion, it did. This film blends gore perfectly with symbolism of discrimination, hatred, and sin. The Fear Street tells us a lot about discrimination towards people that aren't considered normal by society. Black Christmas. In 1974, people saw the commentary on misogyny. Black Christmas is a 1974 Canadian horror film directed by Bob Clark. Black Christmas is considered one of early examples of a slasher film, having established almost all tropes From murder's point of view to final girl drop, Black Christmas, as I mentioned earlier, was released on the same day as the Texas Chainsaw Massacre. Christmas is supposed to be the time of love and hugs, but in this film, feelings of alienation were there from the start. The alienation felt by our killer Billy, but other men, regardless of who they are in this film, are deeply misogynistic and find pleasure in controlling women. I've seen this film a long time ago, so I don't remember much from it, but I do know how I felt when I first watched this film. This horror was a symbol of deep-rooted misogyny, and there's also an important part. The call is coming from inside the house, which symbolizes often the patriarchal structure don't come from outside the walls, but from the people that live inside it. And that's such an important lesson. People don't realize it's what patriarchy has been taught, not outside the house, but inside of it. A house where you're supposed to feel safe as a woman, you feel inferior, you feel not good enough. And lastly, we have X. X was released in 2022. The film was produced on an estimated net production budget of $5.3 million. It grossed over $14 million worldwide. I was thinking not to include this film, but when I watched it, I thought it was really amazing and indeed I should talk about it. This film follows six filmmakers staying in a farm of two elderly people to shoot an adult film. The elderly couple are aging. With their age, their ability to have intimacy with each other decays, and the older woman mourns her fading beauty. Youth is a beautiful thing. You're young, you're free, you can love, but with age, you feel like you have a stone on your heart. You can play the sports you love, you cannot dance, and that is what happened to that woman, which drove her crazy. This film is horror not because there's ghost or somebody wearing a mask killing, but rather because it shows the reality of the world, who gets to choose what's right and what's wrong, and our immense obsession with looking beautiful forever. This obsession was the reason for those killings. Maxine knew herself too well. Every scene she is in, there's a preacher in a television talking about some sin, and it illustrates how easy it has become to preach literally anything, whether it's wrong or not. Maxine knew herself too well. Every scene she is in, there's a preacher in a television talking about some sin, and it illustrates how easy it has become to preach literally anything, whether it's wrong or not, through technologies. We weren't assured of ourselves before, and now we are exposed to too many opinions, and the opinions of other people decide who we are to become. Yet Maxine seems to be different. She knew herself, she knew she'd become a star. That is self-belief. The ending was harsh, yet amazing. Maxine is a badass and really an amazing written character. Slasher horror genre is famous for its unusual way, whether to provide us with jump scares or make us laugh at killing scenes. There are so many more slashers out there which I couldn't cover in this video. If you want, I can make another video for it. These slashers have a huge place in my heart for what they stood for and how much they have influenced my life. Hope you liked the video. Make sure to drop your favorite horrors in the comment section. We'll meet in another video. So long, my friend. So long.